Hello, dear Lightworkers. Many of us who came here for these specific times, we came here it's kind of funny, to shine our light more consciously, more brightly, more uncovered, maybe. And many of us have taken a lot of trainings, learning to heal in many different ways, whether through breath or art or therapy or embodiment of many, many amazing things that are being offered these days that weren't really available, a number of years ago. But it's all here, okay? So we have learned that and we have a lot to offer and to share. We love what we do. And somehow it's not really taking off in the way we think it should do because it seems like there is a need for it because it has helped us to become who we are today. And this has, of course, been my own process too. And over the years, I've just often felt like I just want to I just don't want to be it. I just want to radiate it or ooze it, like I have talked about before also. There's just been this deep longing for that. And then there was all this on top that, I have to do something. I have to, bring it out and la 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 la. I've talked about this before, but because it's going to a deeper level in myself right now, as I'm sure you understand, that the deeper we go, the more light is available and the more we can see because of our own light shining. We can observe our own light, better, and we can also see what is still getting in the way. So it is very, very clear to me that I am here basically to, um, I don't know, field stabilizer, activator. It's the wrong word because the field is already here and nothing needs to be activated, nothing needs to be stabilized. Field manager, that would be a fun word, right? To use I'm managing the field. But we cannot manage the field, but we can stabilize ourselves more in and as the field. And we can manage ourselves so that we stay connected to the field. And you probably know, if you've been listening to me for a while, that the field has kind of been my thing, It's like I often invite you just to tune into the field, right? It's right here, it's right here, it's the same thing. And it's almost like we can have our little antennas out that way. And it it is very valuable, is what I want to say. If you feel you resonate with that you just really want to just be emanating, expressing, radiating the field without having to do something. Again, it doesn't mean you won't do something. You might be very successful healer, teacher, coach, whatever. It doesn't mean you can't be that. But for some reason, that's not for all of us. And the more we can accept that, the more I can accept it. And the more I have been accepting that, the more I sink into the field and the more I rest in that resting, that part that thought I needed to do something, express something, make it more available. That's all this separate sense of self thinking that I need to do something to be the field, but there really is nothing else but the field. So there's really nothing I need to do except stop trying to do and make things happen. And that's been a very challenging journey for me, like I shared before, because I have been very much of a doer and wanting to make things happen. And, if I don't do it, it won't happen. And, a lot of responsibility, holding energies, there's been an efforting in that. And as I have been uh, realizing more of my role as a frequency holder, a frequency instigator into this reality. Again, it's hard to find words for it. I may have to play with that a little more. Maybe I will call myself a field manager one day, but where the manager will be in quotes. And and I also remember this is in my early days of learning about spirituality and healing. I remember I was learning this special facial massage technique, which was very gentle. It was kind of like it was softening this fascia so that, people started looking kind of more open, younger. There was just a lot of this tension we hold when that was released. There was more vibrancy in their face. And I remember when I was working on somebody, and this is way, way back. I don't do it anymore, but I remember like, my God, imagine just working with people on their faces like this. And then in the background, I would just quietly know that I was, sitting here with God and that was the true healing. The other one was just kind of a prop, where people didn't really know that when they came into my field, they would be recognized for who they are, silently, no words. And in those days, I wasn't as conscious of that field that I am as I am today. But what I want to say is it was there, the longing to just quietly, they would never notice, I would just be behind the scene, kind of activating, making aware, whatever. Still don't know how to say it, the field in their experience too, without them knowing that I was actually just seeing them for who they are. So that longing was in me when I was much, much younger. That was in my maybe early to mid 20s. So quite young, quite unexperienced, quite innocent. It's never really gone away. And that's what I'm really, really realizing more and more of lately. But the layer, but seeing other people being successful or learning things or expressing things, that made me believe that I should also do that I have to do something. So I put that longing on the back burner and I really try to, move into the world and do something as God's little helper. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's all a phase we go through. And I do think it's unavoidable unless you came in knowing you are the field and there's nothing you need to do. But I forgot. So that's my experience. So if you relate to this, that you don't really want to do something to make things happen anymore. If you feel that resonance when I'm sharing this with you, please pay attention to that. Please, honor that for a moment. And you may have been so busy trying to do things and whatnot that you may not even be in touch with it anymore. But that's why I want to give you an opportunity right now to just pause for a moment. And do you really want to be that busy? Do you really want to keep trying to make something happen? And is that resonating with your message? Are you teaching people to try harder and, do more? Is that the core of your message? And it probably isn't. But I know also I got totally caught in that trap And it was really awful. It did not make me happy or successful or relaxed. So when I realized that, that's a number of years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I just stopped. I was like, wow, I'm basically doing the opposite of my message. And so I was not in resonance, right? I was not in harmony with who I am. And that's why I took a lot of time where I stopped everything and I just really started, help dissolve and soften all these misunderstandings in me, all these edges, all these structures that how things should be, how everybody else was doing it. So, I probably should too. But now I don't think that is the case anymore because I believe there are many of us who are realizing that, I just don't want to do this, trying harder, sending more emails or, trying to, get in touch with more people or touch more people. And, it's like when you do that, when you're an entrepreneur, you're kind of always on, you always have to do the next thing. And again, there has been a time for that. And maybe you also feel like, that's not it. That's not it. That's not the energy I want to put into the field. And so we're coming back to the field. What is it really that you want? If you can just drop all these projections from the outside world of what you've been trained to do, been programmed to do, what everybody else is doing, what is underneath in you that you really, really want? That's something that you go, that's what I want. That is what I want. And can you stay with that? Can you let yourself welcome that longing? It's like, can you give birth to that baby in your heart and hold it? Can you just let it be born exactly the way it is and exactly the way we all want to be held when we're born? Because this is your baby. This is your expression, baby. This is what you came here for. And we have been suppressing that for so long, and maybe it's time to not do that anymore. So, yeah, give yourself a little time. Hello, you want to join us? You can join. Yeah, what is it that you really, really want? When you realize that I don't want to do that anymore. It was kind of just trying to fit in, perform, do what others told me I should do because I didn't know anything else. I was new at it, everybody's doing it. They all sound so convincing and they all come with these, yeah, when you do this, this will happen. And then most of us, it didn't happen like that. So we have to reinvent ourselves. And of course, the reinvention, the rebirth is who we are. And if you are a frequency holder, a field manager, a field activator, even though you're not activated, it's more like a field inviter. You invite the field, you invite yourself into the field, and you allow the field to inform you, to show you. And if that resonates with you, my friend, please do not dismiss it. There are many of us who came just for that. And again, in the world of doing, that wasn't recognized. And also from my own experience, because that was not recognized. Also, when I was just being that, if I didn't get the feedback and the confirmation from the outside world, then I would start doubting that. And then I would go back into the world and try and do what everybody else is doing. This is challenging, when we come in, maybe as pioneers with a new energy that is invisible, that can be felt by those who are ready to feel it. but most people can't. But that should not stop us from being the field, from consciously making ourselves available for the field. And it's like leaning back into the field or collapsing back into the field. So, like the perniliness of the doing energy, I have had to let her collapse back into the field. So, like the structure of pernilla doing, I just had to keep leaning in and softening and let that structure be held in the field, because only the field can soften it, not by doing anything. But you can say the field is the softener itself. So when I merge myself, collapse into the field, it happens naturally. Unfortunately, not overnight for most of us, but it's an ongoing coming back, and the softening and the softening. And then eventually that part that was doing its thing, like the pernilla doer, eventually it became extremely uninteresting and not something I wanted to do again. So I just have been learning to just let myself be the field and allow the field to guide me. And then it's easy to jump out like, well, who's going to pay my bills? And how is this going to work? I don't know. But I trust the field more and more, that the field knows. The field is not separate from anything. When I go out and become the pernilla doer, then I'm separate from everything. And that's why I think I need to do something to get what I need. But when I'm in the field, there's no separation. So there's nothing to want. There's just learning to trust the field more and more, and allowing the parts that are still not sure, they're still building barriers around it because it's not sure it can trust it. It's just allowing the energy, the frequency of the field to keep softening that, until that lack of trust, because I think everything comes back to lack of trust of the divine or of our true identity. Once that softens more, then naturally the field can shine brighter through and as us. And in that, there is no lack. It doesn't exist there. So all these, window smears that the light is still needing to shine through. And that's why we see a smear in our life experience that may be experienced as lack. But the more we are the light and let those smears just be washed away and dissolve, then this projection that we have inside, that there's not enough or that I have to work hard, it just won't be there anymore. It just won't be there anymore. It's like it's kind of like a whiff of something, or a little odor, but it's very vague. It's no, I don't like that smell. I'm not going to go there, You just keep coming back and back. And that is definitely my path. That's my experience. And I feel more and more comfortable as I'm, you know, embodying that and feeling the truth of that that's really what I came here for, because it's my deepest longing. Trusting that more and more, then I can also share it more and more by owning it. Because there's been a part of me, I think I shared it yesterday or the day before, that I've been afraid of owning that role or that expression. Because what are people going to say about me? Like, who are you? Who do you think you are? And that would often prevent me from just naturally being in and speaking about it. As it's like, yeah, I'm wearing a t-shirt right now. It's like it's not different. But because of all these hypnotic suggestions and programs that we've been identified with, they kind of got the best of us, got the best of me. And that's why I wasn't fully owning it. So if you need permission to own your frequency and to start embracing the fact that maybe you are not supposed to do like maybe others do. There's a lot of people who come in with very big roles where they do something, they make something happen from the inside, from the field, right? Because that's in their structure. I think there's many of us who are just here to really give birth to the field into this dimension. Because eventually the frequency that we tap into and embody and therefore radiate, that is a very powerful gift that we have. And that is very much needed in the world and may go completely unnoticed. Except unless we let it go unnoticed here, where we just like, no, that can't be it, I must try something else. If we notice that, if we know and notice that about ourselves, we can rest. You can rest. You can trust that because it is so deeply felt in you that whatever reflections are out there, they don't say anything about you. It may just say that it says something about them maybe not being ready to tap into that field yet, because they may still need to do some of the work that we have all done until they can also rest in it. Because ultimately, what else is there than to just be fully surrendered at one with our divine source, with our source connection, with the essence of who we are, without that separation, without that veil, without that virtual headset, virtual reality, I think, virtual, the headset where they see things. Once that's gone, then we can start experiencing what has always been here. And then we can rest. Then we can rest. So, my friends, permission granted. If this resonates with you, and if you really want this, permission granted.